What's up, Duke fans? Welcome to the Devil's Den podcast. I'm your host, Josh Smith, joined by my co-host Raul and Shu. We're coming to you after Valentine's Day, so Duke just put a little beat down on Clemson. What was the final score, fellas? I'm missing it.
67-54.
54. Yeah, there we go. Had some celebrities in the house, had some guys come back in the building for this one. It wasn't noon tips. It was kind of one of those weird Saturday trap games historically for us, fellas. Was kind of nice to put this one kind of out of reach pretty much early in the second half. Duke kind of takes control of the game. I don't think the final score was really indicative of just how dominant this game probably was for Duke. I mean, there was a real shot that Duke could have held them under 50 points. So we'll get into that. We'll kind of, mailbag this thing a little bit, but let's just start, fellas. First time that we see Cooper Flagg, Khaman Maluach, and Tyrese Proctor back in the building. I understand the timing of it, of like, this is just the game that happens to be there on All-Star weekend, but it was not lost on me that Coop just happened to be back to see us beat the only ACC team that beat him last year, if we're just doing a competitive checklist here. But fellas, just off the top here, what was it like for you kind of seeing those guys back in the building, giving some love, kind of doing their thing, going back to Durham instead of just, they could have went anywhere pretty much for that. So just off the top, shouts to the guys last year.
I mean, all three of them technically could be in Durham this year, right? We knew Cooper wasn't going to be. Proctor, had a decision to make. He went on about his business, and has had a good fine career so far in Cleveland. And Khaman, made his choice as well. It was nice seeing them there. They haven't been gone that long, but it's always nice having the guys come back and pull for their team, and especially ironically it being the only team that beat them last year in conference play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Shire said something about it in his press conference. Like, yes, it is all-star break, but they could have gone and done anything, right? They've been playing competitive basketball games for months now. They could, they have a lot of money, right? They could be in Bahamas or whatever, right? And they chose to come to Durham instead and watch a Duke game. So, just this idea of the brotherhood being an actual real thing and not just marketing.
Yeah, no, that was
cool.
I
think Khaman was there like doing workouts and stuff.
Yeah, they had a video. I had a video of him up doing some stuff. And to me, it's just there's just that team was just special too. I think, right? Like, any of our Final Four teams, those guys come back, you're going to get a lot of love. But with the recency there, the way things went down, we won't rehash everything. But that team was pretty special. They just BTA'd everyone just about last year. It felt like so. Obviously, what Coop and Khan are doing in the league is pretty special too. Shouts to Khan doing his thing out there during All-Star weekend as well. But fellas, let's jump in. We'll get to it again. This is a noon tip on Valentine's Day, so it was a little bit kind of weird. We're hanging out with the kids. We're making heart-shaped pizzas, and Cam is giving posters. And so it was like, okay, that's cool. We pretty much start the game with that, with like a Cam poster. He had 3 in this game? Started out on the break, had the little wop or something like that. So had a little bit of bunnies in him. Finishes with 18-8-4 with one turnover there. What did y'all kind of like about Cam? I want to get into a little bit more of a nuanced conversation. Something that you were talking about too, Raul, is we're seeing a little bit of what might seem like the production dip, but is that more result of Cam, or why is he no longer being able to get to the line? Like, I guess talk to me a little bit from that perspective of what that might look like going forward if we're not going to get the same kind of like whistle.
Well, I thought Clemson specifically, I can't speak to the, previous few games where he didn't draw as many fouls, but Clemson specifically was collapsing like 3 guys on him when he catch it in there deep. And I thought he, especially in the first half, was kind of forcing up some shots, where you kind of need to make the kick out there. And he got a shot blocked several times, and they have some big bodies down there too. So, it seems like their defense is really geared towards collapsing in the paint. They were willing to give up some threes. Duke, punished them a little bit actually from 3-point range. Didn't shoot maybe the best percentage. I think it was 34% for the game, but made more threes than we've been making lately. So I thought it was sort of a product of the defense, but I also think that maybe it is a trend that we're seeing where teams are realizing, hey, this Duke team is not the best shooting team, and there's really only one guy you got to worry about, and that's Isaiah Evans, right? Like Foster can sometimes make 2 or 3. Sarr can hit a corner three or two, but you're willing to live with that, and you're going to sell out on Cam Boozer down low and Pat Ngongba down low. And the only guy you're really going to worry about on the perimeter is Evans. So I think it's just an overall defensive adjustment we've seen from teams over the last, 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'd have to agree with that. I mean, obviously, like, we've been killing teams in the paint. We haven't been even shooting a lot of threes lately. Clemson was playing. This is the top 2 defenses in the ACC going at it, right? So Clemson was playing good defense, keeping us out of there. Like Raul said, double, triple teaming Cam. So we shot a lot more threes, but we've got to prove that we can make them too. I think we haven't been shooting the balls as well as I hope we would. To Raul's point.
Yeah, and I just pulled it up here. The box score, 29 3-point attempts. That's probably the highest we've seen in a little while here, I'm guessing. We're getting up like 25, 29, 30 earlier in the year, but we'd really gone away from that, like she was saying.
Especially because our possessions have gotten so much slower too. So that is a pretty high volume at like lower possession games, right? It's,
And we were outscored points in the paint. Actually, no, take that back. We had 24 to 22. So this one was close, though.
Yeah. We weren't dominating like we had been in some previous games where we were, plus 20 in the paint, plus 30 in the paint.
Yeah. Well, and we said, prior to the game that I think prior to this game, I think Clemson was like number 2 or 3 in the country in like 2-point defense or something, right? And so it was like, okay, that's clearly what they're trying to limit. It was a little bit of just kind of strength on strength there. And, we prevailed, I guess. I mean, even the 3 points here, it's like we're at least getting some of the guys the right shots, but you have Malik and Pat both shooting 2 or whatever it was, or they were like over 3. Darren is the guy that like, okay, man, if you're coming in, you kind of need him to be able to hit probably. But I like Slim getting 9 up, like I thought he was getting some good looks. It was nice to see kind of Cam getting some looks from out there too. Like I think that's another way to really boost his game back up a little bit. Not that it's down, but it's not at like 25 points a game or whatever, like what it was, right? So
I think we're doing a really nice job lately of getting some more kind of creative actions for Isaiah. We were talking about that offline earlier, just running a little bit more sophisticated stuff than earlier in the year, where it's just kind of like really leaning heavily on that flare screen. And Evans had maybe 2-3 reads off of that flare screen, but that's been well scouted now, right? So it's like you got to go to something else. So, there was just some stuff that in the second half in particular that we ran for Evans that I really liked. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I can break it down like Brian. He probably has some very technical name for it, but it's been nice to see Evans get going. I mean, he's 9 of 15 over these last 2 games from 3. So obviously that's a great percentage, and that's bringing his overall percentage for the season back up slowly. So maybe he can get on a heater and kind of open up the floor for Cam again.
Yeah, I think to your point, Brian calls it the Duke Spain swipe is what he's talking about, a little stack pick and roll, screen the screener flare into the empty weak side. I'm not going to pretend to know like the intricacies of that. He's got a great clip up on Twitter. I would definitely go recommend looking at that because we run it twice, like you're talking about, with different variations. One, the Cayden gets the N1, the other one, Slim, gets a 3 off on it. So, yeah, I mean, the more that we can start to do that, I think this game too, we've mentioned it. You talk about Slim, but I think that like the Slim leads into some of the Cayden talk because I thought he was really good, y'all. Like I think we've started to see that a little bit. What he's able to do in the lane, the finishing around the rim, the 3-point shot again isn't really there for him right now, but the creativity, head up, like the confidence looks a little bit kind of like elevated too. I think we're going to need it, man. I think we're going to need that. It gives us a different look. We're allowed to then, Caleb can move off ball a little bit. Gives us kind of just different looks so we can throw at teams, man.
In a game where Caleb was kind of struggling, to be honest, it was nice to have Cayden just be able to step up a little bit there. Obviously they've been going kind of back and forth with who's having the better game. Against Pitt, we saw Caleb Foster have a really productive game. What was he like? 14 points on 11 shots. He had like 8 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists. So that you love to see that out of Caleb. But in this game, he makes the 1 3, and I think that was maybe it.
Yeah,
in the first 3
minus
minutes
8
of the game.
this game, right? Yeah, minus 8 in this game.
But then when Cayden came in, we just noticeably played better, and we're getting into our offense a lot better, and he was able to use the ball screen to penetrate more effectively than Caleb was.
Yeah,
and just was running some really good stuff.
Yeah, Cayden was cooking in the pick and roll, dude, and like some of we were running like good stuff, like sets and stuff. But I mean, the ball was getting slung around. He slung it across the court one time to Cam for a 3. We mentioned the ones to Slim there, the and one as well. Yeah, we're gonna need that. We're gonna need that offensive creativity, especially when you're playing defenses like this, where it's like, hey, the only way you're gonna be able to get into the paint is to have someone start to get some pressure on these guys.
And Shu, you mentioned his floater. One of my favorite plays of the game was when we ran down the shot clock for about a minute and a half there, right? So I think we got an offensive rebound. Cayden gets his 3-pointer blocked, gets the ball back, flings it up on a floater there. Basically used
Carlos
3 possessions in one. Yeah,
Carlos loved it. And honestly, like that, I don't remember exactly when that was, but like, even at half, like Duke had an opportunity to really be up like 10 or 12, like heading into halftime, y'all. Like, because I was sitting there watching the game and a little heated because we had an opportunity. I think Dame gets on a break.
Dame got the miss the 5-point swing there.
Blows the layup. They come down. Of course, they hit a 3 in transition, and it's like that sucks to eat that. But I don't know, man. Just the finishing on the fast break is just not working so well for Dame yet. But
to be fair, Clemson had their own struggles finishing. I think what did they miss? Like 4 layups.
Yeah, it was
I think one guy missed 3. Can't remember who it was, but
it was pretty brutal, man. There was a lot of like ugly stuff at the rim there for both sides.
That was Ace Buckner. He went 3 of 12 in the game, and I think 3 of those misses were missed layups.
And something that kind of maybe buried the lead a little bit, y'all. But maybe I don't know if y'all want to take a break for a second. Maybe we'll get into that. But I think we'll come back here in a minute, and we should probably talk about Big Pat. So Big Pat comes back and has played decent, I thought. But I think there's maybe a conversation about that early foul that maybe we could talk about a little bit. But let's take a little quick break, fellas, and then we'll come back and talk about Big Pat and maybe do a little bit of roundtable. All right, fellas, buried the lead a little bit here. We did a whole podcast with Brian kind of detailing what it would look like for 3 months without Pat. And it was about 36 hours without Pat, apparently. But hey, I still think there's a lot of stuff in there that is viable and valuable and that we're going to see non-Pat lineups out there. But for y'all, just off the top, how you feel like that? Did he look fine to you? I didn't really see too much kind of awkwardness or favoring anything. Did y'all pick up on anything concerning for you for Big Pat outside of only playing about 19 minutes here?
Well, the concern is, I'd like for him to get to the first media timeout without 2 fouls. Going forward, that's the first one they called on him.
The first one's tough, man.
The first one was a tough one. I think the second one was after Godfrey had threw Cam
kind
down,
of flailed, and
they were kind of on a 5-on-4 break, and Pat just had to kind of give up a foul to stop from an easy layup. But it's the fouls that are away from the ball for Pat that gets me. Like that's my big concern with him, is just playing a little bit smarter from time to time.
Yeah, he likes to, really battle in the post on defense, and sometimes he'll get a little bit handsy there. I thought that first foul was a really bad call. I mean, the announcers even talked about it. It's like he clearly swiped down clean on the ball, but that's one of those things where the ref just sees you lower your hand, and they're not looking at what's actually happening on the ball. They just see you lower your arm, and they're just looking for that verticality to be maintained. And I thought that they were just kind of anticipating the foul there. So that was a little bit tough, especially when you saw Cam Boozer literally get tackled on the other end with a no call. So I thought the whistles were not going in our favor early, but we withstood that, and we're at least kind of tied with them after the first 10 minutes, despite some somewhat questionable calls there.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you on some of the stuff away from but it's like we really need a good whistle for him from the on the non-fouls though. We need that to be non-fouls because he's gonna get some other ones, right? He's essentially became our bruiser, our enforcer. He just also happens to be incredibly skilled too, but he's serving that bruiser role. It's to me, it's very obvious. Like earlier in the year when Caleb came off and Cayden went on, it was very obvious that the point of attack defense like felt to me it's almost that way with Pat. Like if he's not available, like Malik can't just handle the burden across 40 minutes, like 30. It just is not the same. And so I'm cool with him picking up some of those, but we need the ones that are clean to be clean. But go ahead.
He's just not the physical presence that Malik is. We've talked about that, I think, on the last pod with Brian. Just the Malik just doesn't have that girth there, right? So you can see, like, he can swipe down at the ball and make some spectacular plays that look amazing, but at the same time, if he's just kind of defending one-on-one in the post, he can give up a little, advantage there. So.
Yeah, his strength is just different, right? Like what he can do on the perimeter and switching is just different than what Pat. But in terms of just like, we talked about the Carolina game, Sarr, with what he was able to do with Pat on versus Pat off, and the importance of that. So yeah, shouts to Pat. I think, fellas, we haven't really talked about it enough, maybe, but like I kind of wanted Pat to segue into that. But just the defense overall of what we're really seeing here. John's kind of referenced as like a kind of playing this like smash mouth bruiser style, kind of similar to his first year a little bit, like but I don't know, man. Like the defense is number 2 right now in the country. It continues to creep up. We're just continuing to hold dudes. Like, I mean, it's getting kind of like impressive, similar to how like last season the offense kind of like got like really, really insanely impressive around this time. This year's the defense. That's
back-to-back games holding our opponents to 54. Now, granted, one was Pitt.
I don't know if I want to count that one too, right? But
but this one, I think Clemson's season low before this game was 64. So you're talking about 10 points, under their season low. Now, Raul did mention that they're missing layups and stuff, and
even Carolina was at 62 points before we allowed them to hit 3 straight threes to win the game, right? Like, I mean, they were going to be at 62, 64, 65 if you replay that a couple times, maybe.
And and Clemson ended up with 54, but I mean, I think it was
we could have kept them in. It was they had 7 points,
44 a game something like that.
Their last like 6 or 7 points were kind of just in the dark.
The game was already decided at that point. That was actually Clemson's lowest point total in 3 years,
3 seasons.
So that just kind of speaks to, and if you just go through our game logs here and look at what opponents have been scoring against us, we got California puts up 56, Stanford 50, Wake Forest 69, Louisville 52, Virginia Tech 58, Boston College 49, even North Carolina they win, but only at 71, and 54, right? So teams are averaging about, maybe off the top of my head, just kind of looking at that, probably over that last like 8 game stretch, like 56 points or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, it's impressive too, because it's not even the same defense that we were playing like earlier in the year against like teams like Florida. And, that was even a different look because we kind of like reinvented ourselves, lost the defense and kind of got it back. And I mean, maybe some of that too is, what Dame is providing you as well. Now, like he is just at an elite level on the defensive end. I think Slim deserves some like really big talk on that. Like he's getting a lot of praise for like what he's able to do as a screener. But again, in this Clemson game, man, there were multiple instances where I'm watching it and I'm like, Slim just saved a possession on some like great help. Just coming down and just digging in for a second, or there was like 2 of them where it just had like big time closeouts, contesting a 3, get a rebound, and we just haven't seen that at times, not from Slim, but just in general. And so for him to be able to take like that kind of leap, and he's honestly becoming like an elite 2-way guy. Like the shooting, the offense maybe haven't exploded to like Redick level, if that's where kind of the comp was going. But what he did do is he turned into an incredible kind of defensive player, and now you have that as a weapon. So just
I got some numbers on that. Over these 13 games, he's had far and away Duke's best net rating. They're 16 points per 100 better on offense, but they're also 15 points per 100 better on defense. And just to compare it, with Cam's net rating is only 14.8 because Duke is 21.8 points per 100 better on offense, but 7 points worse on defense. So you look at that, but Slim's just doing it on both ends, having this incredible impact, at least just within this like narrow frame of ACC play. So, like it's just clear that he's easily our second most important player right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty good. I think that's, and he's starting to really become that consistent guy that we've talked about too.
But that's what we need, right?
Yeah,
that's what we need.
Yeah, and so that can carry you, man. We've talked about too, like if he starts to get on a little bit of a heater, just him alone, if he's taking 9 threes, or like if he's him alone can boost us up, man, because that is the one area you talked about it. But I mean, we're 13th in the conference and from behind the arc. That's not gonna get it done, y'all. Like that's not great.
Yeah.
With 32 under 33% as a team, and it's like, okay, we got to figure that out. Nick's shot has kind of fallen down, right? Darren's not hitting. Dame is going to kind of give you the 0 for 4 or the 4 for 5. It feels like so.
Yep.
A little inconsistency there, but it's really just Slim. Right, if Slim gets on a heater and he's shooting 50% from 3 for a month, that's going to really change.
Yeah, suddenly your team 3-point percentage is up to 37% just on his volume alone.
Right, and then it looks incredible again, and it's like, oh, okay. As it is, that's I think why you've seen the offense kind of fall a little bit, right? It's
but to your point, I think Evans has had double digits in every single conference game, I believe. Versus in the non-con, he was only in double digits in 7 out of the 12 games. So that just speaks to his consistency, right? Like I know the 3-point shot has gone into a little bit of a slump before these last 2 games, but he still found ways to score.
Yeah. He was getting to the line too, right? And now he's got back to I know he got fouled on the 3, but maybe that returns as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's the right time of the year to start to be trying to put this stuff together. If the defense is going to just carry you, maybe that. And I think it's impressive too, because it's not like you were talking on our thread, Raul. It's not like the roster really screams, this is a top 2 defense in the country, right? Like it doesn't scream that on the paper when you're just looking at the measurables and what you got. But here it is. And it wasn't just Jay Lucas. Credit to Jay. Jay's doing a hell of a job down in Miami, but John can stand on his own on this stuff too, defensively. It's just impressive for him to be such an offensive player, to be able to come in regardless of personnel and make that just such a staple. It's kind of just refreshing, man. That's what we grew up on, is just Duke defense. I think
he's got guys that bought into it, right? Like Caleb Foster, I think is, in his 3rd year has really bought into that side of the ball. Malik, obviously, and then Dame, that's what we brought him in to do. I thought he really changed the game in this Clemson game. We were up 5, 6, 7 at half. And, we come out, he's guarding the point of attack, and we just, all of a sudden it's like flip the switch on him.
Cam gets rolling, he starts to heat up a little bit, and then it's all of a sudden it's 12, they get it back to 9 or something, and it's 16. It's like, okay, here we go. I mean, they just kind of took over right there and just kind of crushed it. Went on a little run. I think there was a kill shot that we went on right during that time frame. And I think I saw Evan Mia had tweeted like the Clemson had only given up like that was like their 5th or 6th of the year or something, right? So like that's not something that they do. So to get some separation, and like you said, I mean, this could have been a 22 point win. Like it was that comfortable for a while in this game. So.
Yeah, we were up 22 with I think 7 minutes left. We took our foot off the gas a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of took the air of the ball too, and we're just, kind of just letting it play out.
We're also, you're talking about, we've been riding Cam. I mean, he played close to 37 minutes again. We got a Saturday, Monday turnaround. So, I don't hate, pulling the air out of the ball there the last couple of minutes when we have that kind of lead.
Yeah, just to maybe.
The betters, if you had 13 and a half, like, I hate that for you guys. I didn't mess with that one.
That's a rough beat.
That's a brutal beat. Yeah,
I was thinking it the whole time, like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because didn't they make a late 3 or something?
Yeah.
I want to say that it was like a last minute beat there.
Yeah. At the end. Yeah. Got beat at the end.
I want to come back to what you were saying about Shire and, in the roster and all that. I think he's cementing his place as like a top 3 defensive coach in the country, maybe just based on what he did last year and what he's doing this year. Like, I mean, I would say Kelvin Sampson's probably the best, but I think Shire's right up there with anybody else. I mean, you see the evidence just in our KenPom defensive ranking, but just the ability to scheme to the personnel, like you have Cam Boozer and Pat Ngongba out there. You could easily see both those guys just getting abused in space in the wrong system. And he's done a great job to protect them and not put them in those situations. Now we've seen it a little bit, right? Cam will sometimes get isolated and get driven by, but for the most part, really since that swoon we had defensively, maybe what was it, like 10 games ago?
Yeah.
We found ways to kind of not have those guys be exposed.
Yeah. It was really that, like the second half of that Texas Tech game, and it kind of bled for 3 or 4 games, right? Well, maybe Lipscomb, if you want to go back to that and say that it kind of started, they did. But
I think to his point, it's impressive given the fact that, you know, this is no knock to Pat or to Cam, but I mean, those guys we had D Live, you know, and then you have Maluach. Like you have 2 like really imposing defensive swatters sitting in there. And Pat has held his own. You know, I don't think his numbers or anything, what, you know, Lively had, just 8 in the Carolina game alone that we were at, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you haven't seen that out of anybody this year. So the overall Tayden defense to be this good with this personnel, it's very impressive.
I thought Cam's defense was great yesterday too. I mean, he was real, like just our post, our paint, like we really, I thought, handled it down there. Because they were pretty big too. Gottfried's too. He's only 6'7", but he's a whole monster down there. Yeah, he's a beast, man. So moved to 23-2. Again, you get a little bit of cushion, a little bit of separation. You're in 12-1 now in the conference. Shouts to Duke women's too, right? 14-0 in the conference right now. Just got to win over Carolina on some
16 straight wins.
Yeah, on some funny free throw discrepancy there. You know, the turntables, but you know,
we didn't mention the Clemson had won 14 straight ACC road games too. So it's not, you know, them coming in and us doing this, it's one of the reasons I didn't really play the line there. I didn't know what Pat's situation was, and you know, you never really know what you're going to get with the Clemson game. I've got a lot of respect for Brownell. They play hard. They're going to play, you know, down and muck it up and make it a rough game. It always is. We just happen to hit more shots, pull away from them.
Yeah. Made it work, man. And we talked about it too. Like that Clemson game has been a big one for John. Like that John Brownell matchup has been pretty big time. So I think now we're
puts him up to 500 versus him.
We've been every year we flip flop. It seems like with those guys, but
nice to preserve the home winning streak versus Clemson too. They believe it since they haven't won there since 1995. Yeah. Now they almost got that one 2 years ago.
McClure, they got the one that I was at. That was Proctor got the free throws there at the end. Brownell was not happy.
Yeah, that was
as much as I don't like coaches complaining, you know, about calls and Cameron and all that, that might have been one time where
that's a tough one to lose on. That's a tough one to lose on, man. You want a no call on that, but hey, whatever.
But maybe don't cough up the ball twice
they
late.
Did. Yeah.
They did.
Because they were up 5, right? This wouldn't have even been an issue if they had just hung onto the ball in those last few possessions.
Was it like McCain or somebody that popped?
McCain, I think, got 2 steals late. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he was credited for them, but it was, you know, his reading of the passing lane there.
Yeah, his activity.
I guess you would remember better because you were courtside.
That was a tough experience there. Just you know, sitting with
stone face as we're about to eat an L and then you win and it's like, okay, nice. All right, let's get out of here. Man. So big win. You kind of it did fall. I feel like in that weird. It's on a holiday. It's a noon tip, and maybe it didn't quite get. But I think if you put this at any other kind of time slot or day, it's a massive win. I think even like nationally, you're talking about like, hey, Clemson just came in there and got 20 piece pretty much. Like that's a big win.
They're a ranked team. I mean, what are they? They were 20th in the nation or
20th.
Something?
Yeah. That was Duke's 8th ranked win this season.
Yeah, that's the most. I think that's
we got 10 quad wins. I think when I just checked earlier, we've cleared everybody again. Michigan has 9. A lot of teams have just a couple with 8. There's a lot of 6 and 7. So I mean, we're out ahead of the pack. And I think out of our what do we got? 6 games left, 5 ACC games.
Yeah.
I think most of them are quad ones, except for the Syracuse and the Notre Dame. Yeah. The rest of them are quad one. So, Michigan, Virginia, State,
that's the big one.
Carolina.
Yeah. Got some big time Saturdays coming up, fellas. I mean, I know we don't want to jump the ship too much, and we can talk a little bit here about Syracuse. Raul, I know you're going to be, I think you're covering the game for us for that one, so you'll be in the house. Right now, that's projected to be 81-62. I mean, right now, man, the defense might not get 60. That seems a bit high for me, even for that one. But what are you making on that? Cuse has kind of been a little weird here. I did see they've won their last 2 games. They beat Cal in double overtime, and then they beat SMU yesterday as well. So Carolina was up 30 on them, but then they brought it back to 10. I don't really know what to make of these guys.
It's hard to make. But I mean, they beat Tennessee earlier, and then I think they lost to Houston in overtime. I mean, so clearly they've proved that they can hang with some of these teams. Now, I wouldn't put Tennessee probably on the same level as us, but Houston certainly is.
Yeah, they held. Clemson beat them by 3. And so it's like they've also lost to Boston College and some other teams. So it's like, I don't, what do you really make of the overall resume there? I don't know, but
they seem like a team that actually has some talent, but they just haven't kind of really cohered as a team. So that always kind of worries you a little bit, right? Like maybe just a few guys have, an out of body experience and keep it a little closer than it should be. It's interesting because they kind of play iso ball, to be honest. Not a lot of passing, not a lot of assists. Yeah. So, they're kind of going to just try to attack you one-on-one. They take a lot of bad mid-range shots, to be honest. They can't make free throws at all. They're almost dead last in the entire country in free throw percentage. So if it gets close, please deliberately foul them and send them to the line. But, I could see this being a little bit of an ugly one because it's a quick turnaround. And Duke would have obviously game planned much more closely for Clemson, I would think, than Syracuse, where you just have like one day off in between.
Yeah.
I think Syracuse might not score. Sorry, what were you say?
I was going to say, and you have this big Saturday game against, who's going to be the number 1 team, come Monday at noon, looming. So I don't know if you consider this a trap game at all, but.
Yeah, I hope not. I don't want anything tense, but the other thing I was going to say was just that I think, Josh, you're probably right that they might not get to the 63. I'm a little worried about us not getting to 81 though.
No, I don't know. Yeah,
our offense has been going.
Yeah, no, I think I would probably book it closer to somewhere like the 72 to 55, or like somewhere exactly. Just grosser in that kind of junky kind of way. Maybe not. Maybe we see the offense really kind of take off here. It's not like their defense is stifling, but it's a top 70 defense. So, they can compete on that end when they want to. But yeah, I don't know. You got Carmelo's kid, right? So he's in there now. I think he's a freshman. Cayden Anthony. Not anything, incredible right now, but it's, maybe Melo makes an appearance in Cameron. Who knows? But you're right, Shu. After this one, it sets up for potentially you're looking KenPom number 1, number 2, Michigan. You could be AP number 1, number 2. Big time.
Arizona just dropped a game. So
they've lost 2 in a row. I think now. Sets up a big one, man. And for it to be Michigan too, there's a lot of just history. Duke, Michigan. It's been a long time since that history has kind of like really been relevant, but I'm sure we'll see a lot of kind of like buzz about Fat Five, Duke, Michigan, bringing that back. It's gonna be a big time game.
I don't know where I saw it. I don't know if you guys have, but did you check StubHub prices for tickets to that game?
Oh yeah, I saw a tweet about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this might be the most expensive college basketball game ever. Just considering you're trying to get secondary market tickets, and people are, obviously selling them for way too much money.
Yeah, it's up at Capital One Arena right there. All right, so
yeah, cheapest ticket was like $300, and the courtside ones were like $5,000.
So, yeah, that's gonna. I don't want to like.
You're gonna shell out for that?
No, that's
5,000 for a loss.
Look, it is tax season, boys. But yeah, I'm gonna set this one out.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I want to. Yeah, I'm not doing all that, but it's gonna be a massive game. Massive game. Don't even want to really get into it because that really deserves its own kind of like.
We should have time to preview that. Hopefully, we just take care of business
against. Yeah, and they play Purdue next week too, coming up. So like we'll get to see what they look like against that. They continue to just be doing what they're doing so far. But
yeah. So yeah, I mean the only thing I'll say about Michigan is that they haven't really faced a lot of top Ken Pom teams, top 10-ish. They played number 11 Nebraska, number 13 Michigan State. And what else did they played? Gonzaga as well, number 10 Gonzaga. Mm-hmm. So they haven't seen a team, at least on paper, as good as ours.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think they're impressive. And they have some like scary measurables at times. But yeah, I think Duke absolutely can. Morrow's the guy that's getting probably the most. But we'll talk about
the Big Pat game. That's what we need, Big Pat.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one. Get into that one pretty good. So should be a big time game. But we got Syracuse first here, fellas. So got to get through that. Again, you're right. It could be a little bit of a trap game. You have faith. I have faith that John's going to have the guys prepared. The level and talent should still be enough. Maybe it's not a 20-point win, but you got to get it done, right? You just got to get this done. So don't expect any. I'm not expecting anything too crazy, but I say that here we go. But
Syracuse is just before we get out. Syracuse is top 5 in block percentage, so that's something to look out for in the entire country. So you might see a lot of Cayden Boozer getting stuffed at the rim. Now they do give up some. They do give up a lot of offensive rebounds though, so that's the trade-off, right? You go for blocks.
Yeah, I mean, when you rattled off their offensive profile, though, to me, it just feels like Duke's defense is going to have a field day. If you're wanting to just kind of mess around, ISOing around,
our
defense, our defense is not that, bro. This is
right. It's not like they can shoot well from 3 either, so they're not going to light you up with 12, 15 threes.
Yeah. I mean, it could get really ugly if they're just taking quick shots and just running out. I mean, it could get that way. Hopefully, that's what happens, but we'll see. We'll find out. But I know we mentioned it briefly, but the last thing here on that line, shout out to Con and those guys. I did shout out Con, but the Con, Jalen, and Corey team Cameron in the skills challenge. Shouts to Brandon Ingram too to be in the All-Star game. So got some Dukies out there doing their thing. So shouts to those guys. But
I think it's 10 years in a row we've had an All-Star game.
That's what they just said. Yeah, I think I saw that on Twitter somewhere. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, last season that we did not was 2016, and that was only because Kyrie was injured for the first half of the season. He came back and it was a little rough, but then of course he goes on to win a title that year, so you'll take it. But yeah. I mean, obviously because he was an All-Star in 15 and 14, so we would have had like 13 years in a row, but we just had a little gap there.
Yeah, that sucks. But all right, fellas, I guess we'll go ahead and get out of here. Anything left for y'all? Any final parting words?
No, just a little bummed that Con couldn't replicate his first round there and get the win.
I know, man. Still, it was cool that he's like diving on those balls. Shouts to Jordan Mann too. He got the clip, got the retweet from the Hornets on that one. So, shouts to those guys. Man. It was good to see.
All-Star weekend, like I don't know, I missed the first round of Con because it started at 4:00 for whatever reason.
Yeah, because it was in Los Angeles this year, so I guess they're trying to get both coasts right.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I guess I really wasn't plotting on that, but I was like, oh, the game's on, or this has already started. But dunk contest, I give it the McNulty meme. Yeah, not that good.
Yeah,
there's a Jackson Hayes had one dunk that was just a normal dunk. He forgot to do anything.
Yeah,
he just dunked and then 6'1" Jace Richardson just fell on his back.
He tried to do a bobbed his head. Yeah, he tried to do a 360.
Luckily, he wasn't hurt.
Yeah, it's just not the 90s dunk contest anymore, fellas. You're just not getting the 90s, 2000s. Just all the guys coming out, the Vinces and MJs doing. You just don't get that. It's a different vibe.
I did want to mention that I think Maggette made 3 straight deep bomb threes, which was man, that's got to be his hottest shooting streak of his career.
Yeah.
Because that's not what he was known for.
Not at all. But yeah, it's cool to see him still out there too, man. It's been a while. Dude, that's the archive name right there. We got to go back a while. But all right, fellas, we'll get out of here. In the meantime, we appreciate you all. Please rate, review, subscribe. Email us at TheDevilsDen.com. You can find us on X/Twitter at DevilsDenPod247. Keep the faces strong and the verb high. Go Duke.